Chapter 6 City of Surprises. An earring changes our view of the past. Everyone was walking quickly at Geno in the Niger Delta in West Africa. It was spring 1981. The rainy season was about to begin. That would end digging at the ancient city for the year. Suddenly, a worker held up something shiny. He had dug it up from beneath the city wall built in AD 800. Analysis later showed it was a gold earring, the oldest yet found in West Africa. It would help to change our understanding of human. The magnificent mud-walled Grand Mosque in Gen, Mali, continues the architectural traditions of the nearby ancient ruined city of Geno. West African kingdoms, AD 500 to 1591, BC 0, AD 500, 1000, 1500. Settlement in the region. There are no gold deposits near Geno. That might mean that the city was trading gold by the 9th century. It might also have been wealthy. Fine jewelry is a sign that citizens that enjoyed a comfortable life. Further excavations would show that the city prospered between the 5th and 12th centuries. Digging the dirt. When Susan and Roderick McIntosh began excavating Geno in January 1981, they suspected it held many secrets. Much of the ancient city was buried, but on a visit 4 years earlier, they had found a range of remains: mud brick houses, roof tiles, burial urns, skeletons, animal bones, copper bits, and pieces of broken pottery. When they returned to Geno, the Macintoshes began to dig in 4 sites. They hoped that the different layers of remains or strata would answer many questions about the city. When did people settle there? How did they live? What did they trade? Why did the city decline? How was it connected to the nearby city of Gen? Artifacts answered some questions and offered a few surprises. The Macintoshes found charcoal in ancient cooking hearths that radiocarbon testing dated to before 250 BC. That made Geno the oldest known city in West Africa. Experts had thought that Arabs from North Africa built the first cities in West Africa in the 9th century. Clearly, Geno was driving at a much earlier date. The remains of the city wall provided more evidence of urban life. Scientists dated it to AD 400 to 800. That showed that the society must have been organized enough to bring together the great number of people needed to build such a large structure. The gold earring completed the picture of a wealthy urban settlement. Layers of life. As they dug down to a depth of 20 feet, 6.1 meters, the archaeologists found layers marking 3 major periods: an early settlement from 250 BC to AD 450, a peak period between 450 and 1100, and a decline from 1200 to 1400. Geno had been settled for 1600 years. West Africa's urban history was twice as long as people once thought. The first settlers were probably farmers, herders, and fishers. They lived in round homes built from mud and straw. In the upper layers of the soil Archaeologists traced changes in the housing. Beginning around the 9th century, mud bricks made of red clay and rice husks became the main building material. They were also used for the city wall. Mud bricks are still used for local building today. By 1100, some houses were rectangular. They reflected the influence of Islamic North Africa, where rectangular buildings were common. Clay also provided material for the large amounts of pottery found at Gengeno. Styles changed over time, but even the early pottery was well made. The number of houses, along with the variety of artifacts and the vast. A modern inhabitant of Gen models the gold earring found beneath the ancient city wall. Old iron sites. Since African cultures prize iron very highly, it is no surprise that they adopted gods connected with the metal. Among the Yoruba people of Nigeria, for example, Ogun was the god of iron and protector of their kingdom. Iron workers were respected members of the community because they produced knives, axes, and picks that helped people perform important daily tasks. By the early 1800s, African iron workers were producing spears, daggers, and pipes that were widely admired. Tunisian scholar Mohammed El-Tounsi describes some iron pipes he saw as elegant and graceful and shining so brightly they seemed to be made of silver. Archaeologists believe that iron-making technology was introduced to Africa from the Middle East via Egypt. A view of the city of Gen. Like Gengeno, it is situated on the floodplains between the Beni and Niger rivers, which provide a plentiful source of fish. Collection of human bones helped the Macintoshes to estimate the city's population. By AD 800, they guessed about 10,000 people lived there in an area covering about 100 acres for the HA. Archaeologists found animal bones and the hulls of African rice, millet, sorghum, and other grains across the city. This showed that residents had a varied diet. In larger homes, people ate grains, beef, catfish, and perch, and water birds. Rice was an important food and also a major trading item. Excavation turned up evidence of the oldest known domesticated rice in Africa. It dated back to AD 40 to 400. With enough food to eat, people had time for crafts and recreation. Pieces of clay marked where potters had workshops. Loom weights and spindles revealed areas where weavers once worked. Crucibles for smelting, heating ores to separate out their metals were a sign that metalworking was well developed. By AD 800, craftspeople were making ornaments from brass and copper and making metals from ores imported from outside the region. By then, the metal workers of Gengeno had a long history. The Macintoshes analyzed iron slag deposits, the residues left over from smelting. They discovered that iron working began with the earliest settlers at the sites. Moving the goods. With a surplus of fish and grain and a location near a major trade route, the Niger River, Gengeno became a busy trade center. Residents sent farm produce, dried and smoked fish, and fish oils to the north. In turn, They imported salt, metal ores, stone, and glass beads. Around AD 750, new overland trade routes across the Sahara linked West Africa with Europe and the Middle East. The new trade contacts also brought a new religion, Islam, to the region. Abandoned city. In the 14th, the Macintoshes discovered people began leaving Gengeno. A new city, Gen, was found nearby. Eventually, Gengeno was totally abandoned, while Jenne grew into an important Islamic center known for its mosques and religious scholars. Why did the citizens quit Gengeno? Perhaps religion played a role. Some historians think that as people adopted Islam, they wanted to leave the city where they had followed the old religion, or perhaps a plague of some kind drove people away. Further research may provide some answers. Learning from pots and shards. Various cultures have used clay objects for thousands of years. Baked clay artifacts found at an Upper Paleolithic site in the Czech Republic have been dated back to around 23,000 BC. How do archaeologists study pottery that is often broken? First, they note the location of each piece or shard they find, since that might show how people used it. The surroundings can also help them to date pottery. As archaeologists classify their finds, they try to put pieces together like a jigsaw puzzle, using the color and shape of the shards as a guide. They also ask questions to help find out more about an object. Where did the material come from? How was the piece shaped and decorated? How was the clay fired? Was the piece made by hand or with a wheel? And what about the texture? Fine, medium, or coarse? Is there a rim or handle? What does the base look like? A 14th century terracotta container found near Gengeno. Most pottery archaeologists find this broken. It is rare to find the whole pot. This diagram shows some important artifacts unearthed at Gengeno and the chronological level in which they were found. A terracotta horseman found near Gengeno. Similar terracotta figures were found in wall cavities in several houses in the city.